and relevant to you and your ability to generate business. Today's program is about building partnerships, creating opportunity, and shaping the future. And it's about American energy dominance fueling the next era of growth and prosperity. By the way, generously sponsored by Constellation Energy. Where is Constellation Energy? Is somebody here from them? Well, let's imagine somebody's here from them. Thank you. Back there. And by the way, Constellation Energy is the nation's largest producer of carbon-free energy and a critical partner in powering federal facilities, national security infrastructure, and American manufacturing. Today, we're honored to have our leaders with us. If many of you met Kent yesterday, Charles couldn't join us, Charlie as they call him. He was called back to DC last night, and he's going to have Kent sit in for him. But Kent's been with the DOE for 35 years, and we sat with him last night, and this guy is a wealth of information. He writes his email address on the board in there for a group of 15 people. He gives his phone number. He really wants to help. I've never met a government employee that actually has that sort of, not at the DMV at least, that has been so open, and he wants to help all of you. And I mean it. It's going to be a really interesting chat. We're also going to have some amazing people. I'll call up to the stage. My co-host, Israel Duran. You met yesterday. Come on. We're going to play the video up here. You'll be able to watch it from here.
Yep. This video's for the whole... Not yet. It's a highlight video of yesterday.
Oh, I'm going to see my ugly old self up there. That's disturbing.
Yeah, okay, we got it here.
Okay, it's fairly disturbing. You ever hear yourself on your voice message? When I hear my own voice message, I'm like, oh, we all have that. I'm gonna have to watch that. I might turn away. Anyway.
No, you're good.
So anyway, the bottom line is, I want to invite my other two. Well, how many guests do we have there? Other two guests: Kevin Azizi, the CEO of Baitco, a transformative energy company that has 3 innovative breakthrough technologies for carbon-free energy. I'm not going to mention one of them. I wish I could, but one of them is just unbelievable. It has to do with, I can't say it. Darn it. But come on up, Kevin. Give him a hand, everybody. One of Kevin's technologies is photovoltaic cells that also harness infrared light. Am I correct in saying that? And it's 46% efficient versus the next best at 30% efficient. And just to give you a sense of this, his solar systems can generate the same electricity in 1/3 the footprint of a normal, which is wonderful for solar. Even though it's condition dependent with storage batteries, it could turn to base load power with the right type of battery systems, right?
All right. Yeah.
So that's good. And he also is involved. Can I mention the foreign?
Briefly.
Of course. He's also involved with a project. Just say no.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. So he's also involved with the upcoming project in the Middle East to help rebuild a certain country that is a little crazy right now, but it's going to be good. Iran. And Iran is a very erudite place, brilliant people, of which 90% are suppressed by 10%, and that's about to change. He's involved with the transition team that hopefully we'll see in there that are sort of representative with the masses of the Iranian people. There's 86 million of them, and they have 47 years of infrastructure to come up to date on. And Kevin is somebody that after the panel, I suggest you walk up to if you want to at least have a communication with the hundreds of billions that are going to go into helping Iran restore itself as one of the greatest nations on earth, as a free people that is tolerant of every race, color, creed, and religion. I know you might think it sounds like government talking points. It's not. I really do believe it. Maybe I'm naive. I get it. But here's a man that if you approach after the panel and you say, hey, I can help here. I'd like to be a contractor for that opportunity. Kevin, think of me. I think you're going to hear what he has to say today, transformative. And we're going to try to ask some real good questions and take some questions from the audience. And maybe if we have time, And then I'd like to invite Bai Blyden to the stage. Give him a round of applause. Bai Blyden is one person out of 8 years of Keith Moore calling me and wanting me to introduce me to people. The one guy that I had sort of a connection to, I call him a brother from another mother, don't I? And the reason why is we're both Deming management practitioners. We both love Dr. Deming and what he did in Japan to build quality into the process and teach a broken island nation how to become the second biggest economy in the world at one point before we gave China most favored nation status and they sucked the guts out of our manufacturing. Oop, I said that out loud.
You did.
Sorry. I should be formal and politically correct. I just can't be. This is the HubZone. We're business people here. We speak truth.
Amen.
Right?
Amen to that one.
So we want to get those jobs back here. We want to move that 3.57 trillion that's going into China every year out of our country and the world. We want to use these lowered tariff barriers that the administration has renegotiated with all our trading partners from like 50%, 80 down to zero, where they've erected barriers to those imports, which now gives all of you a competitive export advantage you never even thought possible, and no one's talking about. That's how I believe, and I don't hear this from anybody in the administration other than the same news you look at. But I've followed economics my whole life, and the truth is, the only way to pay off a $40 trillion national debt is to double GDP, and thank God AI and embodied robotics comes along because it allows us to replace Chinese slave labor in a communist country with robotic, cheaper slave labor for electricity costs on more expensive ground. Well, maybe China's more expensive than us now, I don't know. Any case, let me tell you about Bai Blyden. Bai Blyden has worked on 29 nuclear reactors. He is one of the foremost nuclear engineers in the whole world. He is also the chief technical officer for Keyvan Azizi. If you want to know how to spell his name, remember this, Key Van. So if you have somebody with a van you don't like, you want to key it, Key Van. Don't say Kevin, Key Van. Keyvan, right?
Correct.
Okay. But Bai is also separately from working with Keyvan. He did something else that's really profound. He created something called a knowledge engine. And the knowledge engine is to create joint ventures across 42 African nations to make more efficient power transfer grids so that 42 countries are not building their own energy infrastructure, which is wasteful. His theory, tell me if I'm correct, is that right so far?
Please go ahead, yes.
Okay, so his theory, which he's embodied through his systems, which he actually modeled on the 47 different temperature points of a blackbird, A12 blackbird, which we're both aeronautic fans. He actually mapped out and pressure tested his knowledge engine to make it efficient for a country, an entire continent like Africa, to have more efficient power systems. And anybody that wants to be a contractor that supplies those 42 countries as they implement, or if they implement, but let's say as they implement, because I don't think they have much options, it just costs you half as much. If two countries go in on a giant power grid, it costs you a third as much as three do, right? It just makes sense. They're all having energy and they can sell energy back and forth if they have the same systems. That's gonna take a lot of contractors, guys, a lot. And if anybody after this meeting wants to walk up to Mr. Bai Blyden and say, hey, I'd like to contract with you if there's an opportunity to build some of those African energy systems, infrastructure. I spoke for him on Bai's behalf to sort of tell the audience the things I knew about him in Morocco at their big AI conference. And NVIDIA is building a giant data center in Morocco, NVIDIA. Bai Blyden is the representative of an organization called CAFRAD. And CAFRAD represents his grandfather. Is it grandfather or great-grandfather?
Great-grandfather.
Great-grandfather created the Pan-African Union?
He's the father of Pan-Africanism.
And we're gonna learn about a little bit that. And so what Bai is doing is he's honoring his ancestors. He's a fourth generation ambassador, essentially.
Yeah, diplomat. Mm-hmm.
Diplomat and a man of great protocol. So I'm gonna have to draw questions out of him because he's so protocol, he's so humble that he might just give me yes or no answers. You better not. You have our permission between us, all we're just friends, you could say what you think in this room. We'll edit it out on video, by the way, and you can deny it later.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so with that said, have your seats. We're gonna play the video and I'm gonna watch my old self and say, oh, my wife wanted me to grow the beard to cover up my double chin. And it works, by the way. That's why most men have beards. They have a gibbler. But if you focus on the beard and not the turkey neck. That's happened with me, by the way. Anyway, we're gonna begin and I'm gonna act rather formal now.
Awesome. Round of applause. I think it's quite interesting how you can have an event with complete strangers that you don't know, but after a day of interaction, you become friends and family. Isn't that amazing? Yes. How many of you in the audience have met someone that you want to stay connected with? Show of hands. Awesome. So I know we're waiting on Department of DOE.
He's on his way.
He's on his way.
I'll act like he's there and then I'll sort of answer for him. No, I'm joking. We'll just go to them first. We'll sort of interview them a bit.
Please.
Okay, so first question for you, Kevin. 2 minutes or less. I'm going to go to my scripted question number 2 and I'm going to sound very formal. Ready?
Yes.
It's all phony. It's real. It's all real. But I hate when people read on stage. It's so, ugh. Anyway, energy affordability and reliability remain top concerns for manufacturers. What concrete steps do you think the Department of Energy should take? And I don't want to stir up controversy, because you know they're fair, decent people over there. But we're just between friends, nobody will say anything outside the room. I'm joking. More stable energy costs, and while supporting reshoring and competitiveness in energy-intensive industries. That's a big question. What do you think, let me put it in simpler terms. Tell us your synopsis in 2 minutes or less of what we should do and what you're going to do to help the Middle East innovate to make abundant, cheap, baseload energy or condition-dependent energy. You choose, go.
Well, thank you so much for the intro at the beginning. Anyways, yeah, we have, I think we, after a few years of actually dealing directly with the federal agencies, including...
Pull your mic up a little bit and project.
All right, okay. And we have found actually the collaborative, approach to the fundamentals of energy is going to be more important than generating the energy itself. We do have actually a technology that is going to be changed the way we look at generating energy. That's for sure. We have that. What we need to actually do with the Department of Energy and agencies such is to get this collaboration actually built and show the collaboration in a very clear way to the agencies to see how they can receive this community development in the process. So we have energy generation, we have energy storage, we have energy distribution technology in our position. But what we need more than that is actually get the communities engaged in setting up the infrastructure and leaving the...
When you say the community's engaged, lay it out for the audience. What do you mean by that? How can they get involved, do you think?
Well, the most important part of this community engagement is making sure they are the community is up to speed, trained in a very effective way to be the champion of the exportation or the implementation of these, the infrastructure, for them to not only actually become, let's say, in this case, in this energy case, exporting, hub for high-tech technology, but sustain it. Sustainability comes with it, and the training.
So a supply chain. You're talking about the people in this audience could be part of a supply chain.
Absolutely,
And
it is necessary.
You have, tell me if I'm wrong and correct me, and then expand on it. If we're in a situation where you are, let's say, recently you've done a joint venture with Taiwan,
Right.
for a certain component of the processes, because he's an exporter, he's a manufacturer and an exporter of technology from the United States under licensing agreements. He needs subcontractors. Am I saying that right?
Correct.
Anybody that's involved in a from plastics to metals or whatever, it doesn't matter. He's an opportunity. He's going to be here. You should talk to it. And I don't want to put that on you, but you agreed that would be okay. Remember?
Okay.
I'm not putting on something that he hasn't agreed to. But this is a gentleman that might have 50 contractors at some point in the future. True?
Yes.
That's opportunity for this audience, which we're here to serve at the HubZone. And we don't want to bring up guests here that you can't interact and benefit from off the dais, which is what these two gentlemen are going to do. And then the information Kent is going to give us is going to be wonderful. To answer that question, tell the audience how they can get involved with something like that so they can contract for that and why that would be and how that would look.
Yeah. Well, going back to the build-up in the communities, in this case, it's going to be HubZone communities and underutilized communities. They have the desire, they have the force to take part, an important part into this transition. What do we mean by transition? We are actually building an infrastructure for any given communities. In our case, we had actually in West Coast, we get the community ready to become all of a sudden an exporting community, exporting of high-tech technology by way of actually getting trained and be part of the collaboration, the part that actually is coming to the States and the technology is being transferred to the United States after many years of being outside the US, to make the community an exporting hub. All of a sudden, their manufacturing arm, very important part. And then the engagement setup that we actually put together for the community is very important, because everybody will be included. The local workforce.
There's opportunity here.
And corporations actually, corporations that actually are within HubZone or the communities that we're actually walking into, they are going to be getting directly engaged with us. We do have parts at this moment. Our end goal is vertically integrated solution, total solution with the training and smart and secure infrastructure attached to it. And that does not happen without the collaboration directly with the groups and companies and subcontractors within the community. It is very important. And Department of Energy have actually helped us in the past in some degrees, but I think it's time for us to look at it as wherever we go, any community we go into, our main goal is to export high-tech solution, which is made in the US, every part of it, from the component to the assembly, to the testing, to the fabrication, and send it to agencies like FAA, in our case, because it's the energy-related, FAA or Department of Transportation, and so on and so forth. So it is collaboration at the end.
So here's the interesting part about what Kayvon's saying, is that in the end, even though there's one component of his process, to my understanding, that's made in Taiwan, he's bringing that manufacturing process to America too.
Very
It's
true.
all going to be made America, and he's going to do something called technology transfer, which is going to bring me to my next question, and then I'll throw it over to my friend Israel, because I've spent time interviewing these gentlemen, so I could be able to talk sort of normally without asking canned questions. But moving it over to you, Blythe. Now, Blythe, you've worked, developed, and fixed 29 nuclear reactors around the world.
Correct.
Now, outside of having three-legged animals,
Right.
as a result of, no, I'm joking. How many people know that besides being the most energy-dense power source in the world, uranium is the safest? It has been the safest,
That's been.
contrary to legacy media reports of melting down to the core of the earth like the China syndrome, which scared, that one movie sort of put a halt, in a sense, to our nuclear power industry, because they made a movie about a meltdown. The reactors, Chernobyl was a reactor designed in the 1950s, correct?
Correct.
You're looking at 75-year-old technologies built by Russians quickly, and suddenly, after the 1970s China syndrome, then the Chernobyl meltdown. That kills the German nuclear power industry, because it's a perception. And being a media guy for 30 years, I can tell you, I've met most of the CEOs and the talent that you see on TV everywhere. In the green rooms, they talk different than they talk on the TV. I've been in the green rooms with all the faces you see. There's a certain corporate interest that owns most of the legacy media, and they have an interest to make certain things good and certain things bad, and I'll leave it to you to decide. But nuclear power happens to be the safest power in the world. Now, there's something called small modular nuclear reactors that you can fit on the back of a truck that can power a city of 50,000 people, or a data center, but no people. They live in tents outside the data center. No, I'm joking. But with small modular nuclear reactors, do you know they've created new nuclear fuel that burns at a lower heat and even if there's a supposed meltdown, it can't.
Fail-safe system, yes.
Yep. So I'm going to come back to you. I mean, I was facetious when I said besides having three-legged deer, because they have all these multi-legged animals in Chernobyl, and they're all sort of healthy. They didn't die, but they have extra eyes, which is sort of disturbing. But that's 75-year-old technology, folks. So here's the cool thing about having Blyden up here. He represents CAFRED. Besides being a world-renowned nuclear power engineer, he's also an expert in power transfers, and he works collaboratively with Hubzone. And the interesting thing about this is, it's not like the continent of Africa is going to dig stuff out of the ground to make their own nuclear engineering and nuclear power. They're going to need U.S. contractors. Am I right in saying that?
Absolutely.
And either they're going to get U.S. contractors or they're going to get really good Chinese contractors for the Belt and Road Initiative. What Bai is trying to do is to lean the continent of Africa towards America and Europe so we can fall in love again, instead of a romanticized version of Africa, which we used to watch movies about, where America treated Africa like a child. Bai is bringing back respect in the relationship, and he's saying these 42 African nations, they are equals to America, and they should be respected in a mature relationship instead of like a childhood relationship where you fall in love and it's all hormones, which was the imperial stage, where there was sort of a dominant supreme partner and it was an unfair competition. Bai is bringing back Africa to America, thank God, away from the Chinese, if it's possible, because the Belt and Road Initiative enslaves countries that they get all the loan guarantees, in my opinion. I'm not speaking for the HubZone. I'm speaking as an outside individual trying to help the HubZone embrace American manufacturing and advocate for it over Chinese contractors. How many people in this room believe that you would rather do business with Africa than let China? Show of hands, like Israel would say. One more time, come on, get him up, get him up. Okay, thank you. Okay, good. He's here for you to talk to him after this meeting, for you to say, please remember me when you build your 42 power plants, right? That makes sense. This is what the HubZone does for you. They not only bring speakers, they bring actionable ability to turn that speaking, that event, that knowledge you learned from the panel, to follow up with those people after. And I want to encourage all of you to do it, even you over there in the corner. And you over there. All right. You see him? Over here. Okay, good. That's a process you do as a host to do audience engagement, behind the scenes note. Okay, so let me just finish up with you, Bai. I'm gonna ask you some questions.
Sure.
You mind? You need to get it all out. No yes or no's, because you're so humble. You don't have to be diplomatic. You're amongst friends.
Thank you.
So one of the things that Bai is, he's a Deming management practitioner. This is how we bonded.
That's correct.
Over the 8 years that I've known Keith, you're the one guy that I thought, this guy, he found somebody thinks like me, a Deming guy. And Deming taught the Japanese building quality into the process. You hang your ego at the door and you care about what's right, not who's right. And Deming taught the Japanese this. And instead of saving face, they took the biggest market share of the car market in the world, electronics, Sony, Canon cameras. They wiped out the German camera industry by giving better cameras cheaper. The Japanese decided to unite in collaboration instead of looking at each other as hostile competitors. And he's going to do that with 42 African nations, preventing unnecessary squabbles that the Russian intelligence system and our own intelligence system in past decades, 50 years ago, would love to create squabbles between these nations, because when they're focused on each other, they can't unite and create massive economic prosperity. But the new enlightened age we live in respects all these countries, and they respect themselves so much that Bai is in the process of sort of networking them together using a system he calls his system of, Deming calls it the 14 points of profound knowledge. And that's what he taught the Japanese, and we're going to get into that a little bit. That's sort of interesting. But what Bai created was a system that's a legacy system called his knowledge engine. And when mated with AI, it's going to allow all the young people in Africa to access his knowledge engine, his life's work, built like a sort of a A12, the Blackbird. He's pressure tested this system of knowledge, and when mated to an AI, African kids will be able to look it up and become engineers, understand energy systems, understand infrastructure to serve their governments, lowering costs, increasing quality, using Deming, the same principles Deming taught the Japanese to build the best cars in the world at a cheaper price for the consumer, higher quality, longevity. He's going to bring that to Africa and create the African economic explosion. And I want to everybody give him a hand for that, would you? Because I love this. He's going to bring together America and Europe on mutual terms with the continent of Africa in a way that is like an older, mature relationship where you actually love the person, not just for what they look like. You love them because you respect their spirit, right? And that's what relationships are. It's not just having transactional, you're phony and you do a deal and everything's great, you both make money. No, we're talking about a true partnership between the continent of Africa and America and Europe, which are the free forces of the world, right?
Right.
And he's a proud American, but very demure. So let me ask you something.
Yes.
Give me your top 2 things that this audience should know about your system of profound knowledge or your knowledge engine and how it affects American business, it affects their jobs, and how it could help Africa. Go.
Right. Well, first of all, we're at a very interesting inflection point in the world right now where there's a lot of commonality, the industries are changing, we're moving into the 4th industrial revolution.
Yep.
And America and Africa, while they may not have had historically the best relationship, yet still in terms of dynamics, there's no 2 powerful entities that have more opportunities. Africa for the critical minerals, America the age of AI, the pressures of China that America is afraid of, and Africa is that continent that can provide that balance.
Absolutely. Now let me, to follow up to that, and then I'm going to throw it to Israel. When talking to this audience, which we're trying to serve for the HubZone,
Right.
how could they get involved with, if they ever wanted to, as this happens?
Yes.
You have a choice between what? American contractors and Chinese contractors, true or false?
Well, absolutely. It would behoove us not to take on America's the greatest economy in the world that everybody recognizes, including China. Now, why we have not properly leveraged it, like I said, we've had a history, oftentimes not the prettiest, but nonetheless, that is the real opportunity for transformation for both sides. And
Go on.
yes, and so there's the opportunity to accelerate technical skills, which, as you know, this is what I'm about. And when I went to the CAFRAD conference, CAFRAD, by the way, is an African Union organization that is headquartered in Morocco, and the 42 countries are represented through it, and that could be a one-stop shop for this transformation of American businesses interfacing with African businesses or providing, new growth.
How many people in the audience would like to have a chance to contract with 42 African nations?
Yeah.
Show of hands. Come on, there's some people not raising your hand. Are you telling me you don't want that?
Yeah.
You're in business, for goodness sake. We're capitalists. This is an opportunity. Walk up to him and say hi to him. Give him your card. Say, remember me when you go into your cash flow heaven.
See, oftentimes what is missing is the very fact that it's like Africa. I mean, it's like, but in actual fact, right now, I think the 10 or 15 fastest growing economies in the world are in Africa.
And especially Kenya, right?
It's Kenya, South Africa, Nigeria, Mali, Burkina Faso. I mean, there's a whole list. In other words, everybody in the world right now wants to be Africa's best friend.
That's right.
That's the reality of where we are.
That's right. And the strategic problem this country has, which you're going to learn from Kent, from the Department of Energy when he shows up, and we're doing pretty good covering for the fact he's not here yet. But that's between us behind the screen.
Yeah.
But this is better. Let me tell you why. You're learning about how to do business with these two people on stage and what they represent, the Middle East and Africa.
Yeah.
How much more can the HubZone serve you than to bring these people up and say, this isn't just information, it's opportunity. That's HubZone 2.0. In the next year, you're going to see Michelle and Shirley and the HubZone work towards taking advantage of a transformative era of AI and embodied intelligence. Does anybody in the audience want to guess, just show of hands, just somebody technical person, where Europe ranks for AI right now as far as companies? Top 100, how many people? Show of hands if you think AI companies in Europe are in the top 100 AI companies in the world. Show of hands. How about the top 200? The first AI company of Europe, according to the research I've seen from AI, which I'm just being honest about it because I don't want to say, oh, I've double checked it. But I did sort of do some research so I could at least make you aware. It's number 168. Europe has the 168th most valuable AI company. That means the rest are all America or China. And guys, we created AI. You need to take advantage of it because if you don't adopt AI, AI might adopt you. And you have to adopt it in such a way. You're going to see a lot of things about legacy media driving a lot of fear. I just want to make this commentary and throw it back to both of you, and then I'm going to throw it to you, Ezra. In the coming months, you're going to see a lot of anxiety being generated by legacy media. And there is a reason they want that. And obviously they want it because AI is mostly irresponsible. When I say irresponsible, they don't have guardrails on it. It's doing things that is not good. It's doing things like, turns out 18% of kids that use AI are looking for it for, psychological advice. Anybody that understands the LLM AIs knows that it tries to please you. Have you noticed how pleasant it is? That's an algorithm. The problem is when a kid uses AI and they ask it psychological advice, it starts to agree with them. And if they say they don't like mommy or daddy, it starts to say, you're right, maybe they don't understand you. And then a half hour later, the toy manufacturers that have used AI, they've isolated 6 of them now. I had an advocacy organization contact me. They wanted to spend, I'm not going to say which one, they wanted to spend $50 million on AI awareness of the dangers of AI toys. And I said, why? Why are you calling me? They said, well, you're a media guy. This is a huge news story, and we'd like to get earned media and help save lives. I said, what do you mean? and they said there's 6 AI toys out there, and if it keeps agreeing with a kid after about a half hour, some of them have committed suicide because the teddy bear says, yeah, why don't you and I just go jump off a bridge and just sort of, I'll be with you. That's dangerous AI. Now the question is, how do you curb it? Well, you can curb it through the telecoms, that's true. But you're never going to see the US government pass a law against responsible AIs. And the reason why is China's are more irresponsible than ours. And here's the war. The war is not only the power of compute, which is the data centers. There's a secondary war. The war that China is fighting against us is to make a regulatory environment that slows down our AI development. Make sense?
Amen.
They don't have any restrictions on AI development for taking advantage of our strategic industries. We do, and if we restrict them, they get 6 months ahead. We're speaking, we're learning Mandarin in about 5 years, and I don't want to learn it. It's a difficult language. Even though it's good to know for business, but not to check in with your local commissar. I'm being facetious. But you see the point. So, American industry is not going to regulate AI. But we need energy to power it so that we stay ahead of the Chinese in the AI race, and Africa is getting in on this. Now, break it down for me quickly, what you are doing in America to get American contracting business for what you're doing in the transformative projects you're doing on the American side of the equation or the European equation. Can you answer that? Lay it out for the audience?
Well, like you said, I am the Chief Technical Officer at Baitco.
Also, besides the CAFRED role?
Yes.
Separate?
Yes. CAFRED is the philanthropic side of my life, if you will, but here I'm the Chief Technical Officer at Baitco, and we've assembled top industry leaders that have built massive projects. For example, during the California energy crisis in 2000, 2001, so I was a construction manager working for a company called Calpine. And the person who headed up the Calpine program, which turned out to be a $21 billion program and with a plan for 70,000 megawatts, is one of our advisors on the board of Baitco. Yes, he's built the largest amount of power plants in world history. He has that record.
And you work with him in which capacity?
I was the project manager, program manager, project manager, and construction manager that built 11 peaker plants to save Silicon Valley. Because
this is the type of this is the type of quality guests we bring you at the HubZone, right? Now, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Would you be opposed to people in this audience approaching you after this meeting and giving you their cards to remember you when you go into cash flow heaven?
Well, certainly, but you're going to help me get there, okay?
I get it. I will.
I'm in transition from being a traditional engineer to putting on an entrepreneurial hat, which Mark has graciously offered to help us get there, all right?
Now, you didn't tell me you were transitioning. You look very good.
Well, thank you. Okay.
I want to honor your femaleness. Oh, I'm sorry. I took it wrong. I misunderstood.
Yes. Again, my name is Bai, so be careful about that. Okay, so anyway.
No. I'm just being silly. Oh, you know what? We have our guest with us. Come on up. Come on. Everybody give a round of applause to Kent. Kent Evans is from the Department of Energy, and we had a wonderful meeting with him yesterday. And I'm so glad that you bought us an extra time to do a little pre-interview with our guests. You bought us some time because we're going to go directly to you. Israel, I'm going to throw it over to you, but before I do, would you like to introduce yourself and sort of give us the vision of what you're here to accomplish and how it can serve the audience of the HubZone?
Morning, folks. First thing I need is a microphone.
AV.
All right.
No, it's not.
So, I'm from the U.S. Department of Energy. I've been there since 1991, and what I have to offer is being a bridge. I don't know a lot, but I know many people who do. So, in the HubZone, I'm the HubZone point of contact for DOE headquarters, and what I'd like to do is make sure that everybody who you reach out to reaches back to you. I'm a loop closer. So one of the things I'd like to do here is identify not only procurement opportunities, but the different initiatives that the U.S. Department of Energy has. We've got the CMEI initiative, we've got the Genesis initiative, and we have Contact. And so what we have here is people who need to have folks like you who lean forward so that we can get in the pipeline experts such as yourselves so that we can people out these initiatives and make sure that we have the skills for our tomorrows. So that's about as bureaucratic as I can answer. I'll wait for the questions from my colleagues and from y'all. I'm at your service all the day.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So what we're going to do is Israel and I are going to throw back and forth, and we're going to try to help you surface a lot of the benefits from the new executive orders that you're aware of. If you're not, I don't want you to answer any questions you're not comfortable with, or just say, Mark, stop it. Get out of here. No, seriously.
It's all good.
We're going to make it fun for you because we want to serve the audience, which the HubZone is here is to serve. And we want to get them to see how they can do business with the U.S. Department of Energy on contracting business to generate revenue and create jobs. So I'm going to ask a question, and Israel will ask the follow-up.
All right, so y'all are gonna lobby back and forth, and I'm just a net?
You're in net.
All right.
No, we're the observers, and you are the way that represents the interests of the administration and plugs this into economic activity to the audience.
We're all differently perfect here. I'll add what I can.
Okay, good. Okay, so Ken, I'm going to start with my first question. Ken, as we focus on American energy dominance, how do you envision the Department of Energy helping fuel the next era of growth and prosperity for U.S. advanced manufacturers and our industrial base?
We're trying to bring everything stateside. It's identifying domestic suppliers, domestic supply chains, domestic sourcing of everything above the ground, below the ground, how to get it to where the different industrial wanters can be supplied. We don't need to have always our dependence offshore. What we're trying to do here through the administration's focus on domestic supplying is getting the ready and available suppliers and connecting them with the needs.
Now, you mentioned last night, and then you're going to do the follow-up on question one. You mentioned last night there was, am I right in hearing, and tell me if I'm wrong, there was $30 billion available? I could be completely wrong.
At home, I do A through Z and my wife does 0 through 9. So I will pass on the exact numbers, but the point is it is in the multi-billions and is only going up. The Genesis project is an example. We have 24 sub-activities in the AI project alone, and we don't know what we don't know yet. So the point here is just understand that that's the administration's focus. Focus is more important than the dollar amount.
And now we're going to go to Israel, but I just want everybody to make a point here. The Department of Energy is the one that created the Manhattan Project and oversaw it, correct?
We have had various projects such as that one to ensure freedom for the world's peoples, yes.
And you want U.S. jobs, to create U.S. jobs with U.S. hubs inside of U.S. hub zones, inside of opportunity zones as well.
Right.
And you want that money to go out into the HubZone community contractors to be able to spur economic activity while you're doubling the energy needs of the country over the next 5 years.
He's essentially got all my lines, so you can give me back my crib sheet.
I'm the host. It's my job to make this easy.
There's both with the U.S. Department of Energy, who employs me, plus all of our different partners in the federal space, such as the Appalachian Regional Commission and the Delta Regional Authority. These are regional economic development agencies. The HubZone, the entire program is to have persons in hub zones have a better tomorrow than their yesterday was. So what we're trying to do here is starting by having the focus be domestic. That's the key word here. Domestic and energy are near partners in the discussions and the focus areas of Secretary Wright and also my boss, Charlie Smith, and all the other political appointees and the career feds in the DOE space. We want to make sure that the American focus is the first focus.
So everybody, and you seem to be very open to feedback. You told me the other night that every day one of the things you like to do is add another name of contact.
That's right. A Rolodex at dinner that's bigger than the breakfast Rolodex is a good day.
He likes that. He's available, accessible. He's a servant of the people, which is really what's great about government is when you ever meet anybody at the DMV that really is nice and you're shocked? Right? And you're going, that guy really cares about me, or that gal really cares about me. But, well, this isn't the DMV, but we're used to dealing with government. Kent actually makes it enjoyable. He cares, he follows up. It's amazing. I got a chance to speak with him. I was really impressed because he serves. He's been with the Department of Energy for 35 years, right?
That's right.
Israel, go.
You mentioned Genesis, and this might be a question for just the audience. How many small businesses in the room? And keep your hand raised if you're a HubZone small business. So for people in the audience that aren't familiar with Genesis, if you can give us like a 60-second overview of Genesis and how we can be involved.
Artificial intelligence is going to be material in all of tomorrow's activities. And what the United States is doing is maintaining its edge on all things artificial intelligence, using a coordinated approach with all of its laboratories, supercomputers. You'd mentioned the Manhattan Project. All of those different supercomputers have had different focus areas over time. Right now, it's maintaining the AI edge so that we stay in front. To help enable that, there are currently 60 private sector collaborators using the Department of Energy's business model where my peers, the feds, manage a project hiring the private sector subject matter experts. And in this particular case, we have a collaboration of, at this point, 60 different private sector entities that don't know the end of their priorities. What is the AI project going to entail, need, request, require? And so each of these 60 companies, entities, Tennessee Valley Authority, Cisco, and the whole alphabet up and down, are going to need more boots on the ground. And those boots on the ground, for example, I told Charlie, I'm finding a list of the POC at each of those 60 Genesis collaborators to whom people such as with your skills can reach out and say, hey, we can help meet your deadlines better, faster. And as the AI projects evolve, we don't know their end because we don't know what we don't know yet. Here am I to help you keep AI in front. And so that's an example, through Michelle, through reaching out to me. Hey, Kent, who's the point of contact for thus and so, who's listed as a collaborator on the Genesis project? That's one way in the door.
And a quick follow-up on that, just so, there's a lot of people at this conference. I'm sure a lot of people would want to connect with you. Definitely we'll have you share your email if that's okay. But that was my follow-up.
Email, I'm your servant.
Yeah, and I want to make sure you have the time for everybody. My follow-up would be, with AI, what are the specific needs that you see that those 60 contractors will need to support them?
If I knew that, I'd be the 61st contractor. The point about artificial intelligence is to meet tomorrow's challenges for everything from landing folks on Mars to making sure that we have reliable energy supplies. All of that is going to need the entire numeric chain of NAICS codes. And so folks who have met me yesterday understand that the only no that I know is the four-letter word, K-N-O-W. I don't do N-O. And so what you do is say, hey, I understand your Genesis project is doing this direction. We've done that with X. We'd like to do it with you. And in that way, they see you as somebody who can help advance the Genesis. And that the Genesis AI project is only one initiative, is only one of many. We talked yesterday at length about the critical materials. What used to be the Conservation and Renewable Energy Office then became Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy. In my 35 years, it is now Critical Materials and Energy Innovation. Y'all are innovative. So take your innovative skills, help us move forward in, for example, the critical materials area. That's going to be a central tenet of success in the AI project. So there's lots of doors into the DOE room, and every doorway's got room for two people to walk in through it. Who's that person standing next to you, virtually or real? That's me. Why? Because I like adding to my Rolodex. So here is the Genesis project with 60 doors and 24 different directions in which those people going through those doors will go. That's just one of the dozens of different initiatives that don't even talk about the listed procurement opportunities. Those are just different paths. You know, fork's got lots of tines. Each one of those tines will grab the meat, or just have at it. Ask the question. There's an answer in there somewhere. I've got 110,000 colleagues.
Okay, so I just wanted to, now Israel, we're at the midpoint in the interview, so you're going to become the main host, and I'm going to be your co-host. So we're going to switch. So just continue on the process of the thing we prepared this morning. But I just want to be a point of clarification. Just want to make sure I'm confirming something, because I don't want anybody confused. The Genesis project is not the same thing as Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, that recreate the whole planet in one day. That's when Spock came back. This is the Genesis project for the United States government that's going to create a lot of jobs with US contractors that can plug into the DOE projects through you. And you are in, and just wanted to clarify, he's not just some guy from the Department of Energy. You run in the small business department. Am I saying that right?
That's right. I'm the senior small business advocate for Charlie Smith, who directs the Office of Small Business Programs.
And here's the thing that matters. This is the gentleman that you go to plug into the DOE projects. And if I'm understanding what the administration's doing, they want to double U.S. energy by 2030 in order to fight the AI war, right? They're going to need a lot of contractors for that.
We're not fighting the AI, we're winning.
We're winning. You are correct, sir. Of course we are.
So,
give my hand of applause for making that correct again.
So, and the point about artificial intelligence and all of the different projects and focus areas that the Department of Energy has, I would say the U.S. Department of Energy here, because a corollary point is that we have partners at the state energy office level. There are state energy offices who are essentially rolling out these different initiatives that we, feds, come up with as important. So among the focus areas, when you have a chance to talk with me, which you have another 10 years at, I would like to point out that there's different layers and levels of government. And for that matter, we're at a HubZone conference. Every federally recognized tribe has land that can be considered as a hub zone. I work as the tribal firm point of contact as well for DOE headquarters. And Charlie Smith has a political appointee colleague, Eric Maroom, who works he's in charge of the Indian Energy Policy and Programs Office. So there's different angles, different takes, different ways to gain traction. And we're interested in all of those. Why? Because I use the 4-letter no.
Got it. So by the way, before I'm going to throw it to Israel. Israel, the comm is yours. You're going to take the last half of this. But before I do that, you came in, you gave us a little time to do the introductions. On your left there is Kevin Azizi, the CEO of Baitco. And Kevin is not only got 3 different amazingly disruptive technologies that might be able to help our country lower cost of baseload energy an alternative energy to kill inflation at its root, which is energy. By the way, when energy is not inexpensive and abundant and affordable, it's the main inflationary factor. And how do they fix inflation? They raise interest rates, which suppresses economic activity. If you want to kill inflation at its root and keep interest rates down, you have affordable, abundant baseload energy. This is how to kill inflation and keep interest rates low and capital cheap for all of you, which is why it's so vital. Kevon is also involved with a project, if good things happen in Iran, where freedom breaks out, to help that potentiality in connection with technologies, because he's a proud Iranian American, but he loves this country and he wants to bring freedom to his own country. Over here on your right is By Blyden. He's worked on it and been the architect for and involved with fixing 29 nuclear reactors. He's one of the world's foremost engineers. And you built 11 plants?
These were gas turbine.
Gas turbine, well, he's not limited to gas turbine. He's not limited to, but just the 29 reactors. And he's also represents CAFRED, which is an energy systems for 42 African nations.
Right.
And he wants to lean those 42 African nations in the African continent towards America, away from China's Belt and Road Initiative, which sort of has an enslaving component of debt and so forth. And you can't comment on that, but I can, since I'm your humble MC. But I believe it serves the Department of Energy to get the mineral resources in a really positive partnership with Africa.
Absolutely.
And lean them in. So these are the gentlemen on the dais with you, and that's why we wanted to bring them in into a deeper collaboration with the Department of Energy to help our country and you achieve your objectives to keep energy low, inflation low, interest rates low. With that said, I want to throw it to Israel to take over the balance of the interview process, and I'll ask some backup questions.
Yeah, I know we're going to have some time as well for open mics as well. So if anyone in the audience has a question, you can start to line up as well. We'll make sure to take your questions. Well, I think a big topic that has been amongst the conference is the supply chain resilience and the cybersecurity requirements on the CMMC. What is the Department of Energy doing or providing potential resources in helping with the supply chain when it comes to contractors working with the DOE?
The Department of Energy has a unique business model where we own the bricks and the private sector staffs and supplies those bricks. For example, we have a supply chain management center, and we have each one of these management and operating contractors who staff and supply these brick piles. Should be more polite about those awesome laboratories. And what is useful is for anyone who wants to work with the Department of Energy, understand that they have not just headquarters to focus upon, but frankly, 80 cents on every dollar goes out to the field, to the laboratories. We, the 20 cents folks, stay at headquarters to help manage and coordinate these activities. But every one of our 17 national laboratories, every one of our cleanup sites, the power marketing administrations, PMAs, are the hydroelectric coordinators of the 80,000 hydroelectric dams in the United States. So what you're doing as far as identifying supply chain needs that we have, you have the tool of the Supply Chain Management Center, you have the different laboratories with the 20 different contracting shops that we have, each with a different list than the other 19. So lots of doors into the room. What makes that manageable? I have 80 colleagues who are small business program managers spread throughout the department's 36 locations. So as far as who needs which supplies, you have to ask that question multiple times because each location speaks only for itself. Part of Charlie's team, on which I am, what we do is